Hello, friends, and welcome back to a Daily Devo with Dot, where we are studying peace and what it looks like when we allow the peace of God to rule and reign in our hearts. Colossians 3:15 reminds us to let the peace of God rule in our hearts. In order for God to rule in your heart, it means you are serving Him. You have chosen to allow Him to be the ruler of your heart. In our life, we are all choosing to serve something. Yesterday, we talked about what it looks like when we choose to sit in our sin and we choose to sit in that jail cell of our past. And because we refuse to forgive ourselves, how we become a slave and bondage to that. And today I want to just say that we have the ability to choose who we are going to serve. And whether we like it or not, we're all serving someone or something. And today you have the option. I want you to listen to me. You have the option, the freedom, the ability, the willpower to choose who you are going to serve. Because whether you like it or not, we're all serving something. And you're either serving your bondage and you're a slave to it, you're held prisoner, or you are serving the one who freed you from bondage. I don't know about you, but I want to serve the one who set me free. If I'm going to serve anyone or anything, I want to serve Him. He's the one who is worth my loyalty and my freedom and my choice to serve Him. I choose to serve Him. Look at the verse. Look at the verse in Romans. Romans chapter 6, verse number 18 says, "Being then made free from sin, you become the servants of righteousness." Wow, a servant of righteousness. Just let that sink in for a moment. We have the option to serve something. And God's saying you can serve righteousness. Friends, what a beautiful thought there, that we don't have to serve depression and anxiety. We don't have to serve and be bound to our sin or our past mistakes or offenses or failures. We can serve righteousness. Wow. We all choose to serve something. Choose to serve Him. Choose to serve the God of righteousness who has enabled you to be righteous. Verse 22 says, "But now being made free from sin, you become the servants to God. You have your fruit unto holiness and the end everlasting." What a beautiful promise there, that we have been set free to be servants to God. That's where true freedom and true peace and true liberty is found, in the presence of God when we choose to serve Him. John, and I've used this verse a lot, but it's so important that we understand where freedom comes from. And John chapter 8, verse 32 reminds us that you're going to know the truth, and then you're going to be set free from the truth. Truth will make you free. But in order for you to know, to be set free, you have to first know the truth. So the truth is what's so key here, is to know that we're serving somebody. We're a slave to something. Is it our guilt? Are we a slave to our guilt? Are we a slave to our sins? Are we a slave to this world? Are we choosing to be a slave to righteousness and holiness? We're bound by choosing what's right in our lives. Verse 32, I think it's 36, I think is so key in our journey of of just discovering our own freedom and getting out of our jail cell. Verse 32 says, if the Son therefore shall make you free, you are free indeed. So it just sounds like kind of this oxymoron while we're saying 1 minute we're free, but then the next minute we're saying, but we're a slave to God. Well, how can you be free if you're a slave? Because, my friend, it's truly in the presence of God that you know freedom and liberty. In 2 Corinthians 3:17, it says, now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit is, there is liberty. It's in the presence of the Lord that we understand the liberty, that we understand pure freedom. And I know that sounds funny because we're saying, well, we're slave to God. And in being a slave, in that service, we find our true freedom. But that's where it's at. That's where the peace and the joy and the love and the grace and the mercy all abounds right there in the presence of God when we choose to go in service for Him. We've talked about being in the army of God, and we've talked about being a soldier of God. But let's just talk about being a slave for God, being a servant of God. It beats being a slave to your sin. It beats being a slave to your addiction. It beats being a slave to people's expectations and their opinions. And it's not that it just beats it. It's not that I'm just choosing it because it's better than something else. I'm choosing it because that's where true peace and joy and contentment and purpose is found. That's where our identity is when we are serving the one who created us. Isn't that just so neat how in serving God, in serving righteousness, we find our freedom? So today I want to ask you, are you bound to something other than Jesus Christ? Are you serving anything other than Him? Because you're never going to experience the peace of God until you choose to go into service for God and serve Him. Be a slave to Him. Make it your mission to say yes to Him every single time. He is the most worthy master, the most merciful, loving, just, fair master we could ever serve. If you think you are going to find freedom anywhere else, you are mistaken, my friend. You will only find yourself in complete bondage. So today, if you are striving just to experience the peace of God, then let me ask you, are you serving Him? Have you put Him first? Is He your master? Do you say yes to Him? Until you have done those things, then you're not going to experience His peace, because He's not ruling and reigning in your heart. If He's truly the king of your heart, then He is your master. When He is your master, you don't get to say so in your life anymore. He has complete control. Does He have complete control of your life? Or have you only given Him Sunday mornings? He can have your Sunday morning. He can have your Wednesday night. He can have your 10 minutes a day of Bible time. When He becomes your master and you are serving Him and you are saying yes to Him because you have no other choice, that is when you completely understand and experience the peace of God. The peace of God that passeth all understanding, because It's when your heart and your mind are fixed on Him. That's when you really, truly begin to understand perfect peace. So my friends, if you have not allowed Him to be the Lord of your life, if you have not given Him permission to be your master, I pray you do that today. And just go spend time with Him. He is so worthy of it. He is worthy. And you will never feel like you're in bondage when you're serving Him. In fact, you are on the greatest adventure of a lifetime. And that's where liberty is found. My friends, today, if you want liberty, if you want freedom, go invite the Master to rule and reign. I love you, friends. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time on Daily Devos with Dot.